everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Talk with AVC. I am, of course, your host, AVC, and we are starting off today with our NFL segment because the draft has come and gone, and there is stuff to talk about. So let us get right into it. For those who are fans in Duval, I am very happy to announce the Jaguars did not mess up this pick and did, in fact, take Trevor Lawrence. If we're just round out the top five, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about this in like groups of five, at least in the first round, and then we'll go over teams' full draft classes while we're talking about that. So Lawrence at 1, Zach Wilson went to the Jets at 2, Trey Lance went to the Niners at 3, Kyle Pitts went to the Falcons at 4, and Jamar Chase went to the Bengals at 5. Let's start with the easy one. Trevor Lawrence was the obvious pick. He's the greatest quarterback prospect I've ever scouted. The guy, there's nothing the guy can't do. Just don't mess him up, Duval, please. All right, Zach Wilson. I'm not going to say I don't like the pick, and I'm not going to say I like the pick. It was the right pick given the hype. The three main quarterbacks outside of Lawrence are very boomer bust. When I'm referring to Fields, Lance, and Wilson, they are very boomer bust. At least one or two of them aren't going to stick. It's going to happen. So we'll see. But as far as, and let me go back actually to the Jags for a second. I liked what they did in the draft. A lot of people have been asking, "Oh my God, why? That was so dumb. Why in the late first round would they take Travis Etienne when they had James Robinson had a breakout year?" Well, let me explain it to you. A couple reasons. Number one, they needed a dynamic playmaker, and the best playmaker at any skill position on the board was Etienne. That's number one. Number two, and more importantly, Etienne actually has the potential to be a traditional 3-down back. Robinson is really only a 2-down back. He doesn't really have the greatest of hands. He's a power back. He's not particularly fast, and he doesn't have the greatest acceleration in the world. He worked last year because he got a lot of carries. He's not going to get the same amount of carries this year with Lawrence at quarterback instead of like Mike Glennon at QB. And Gardner Minshew. Lawrence, and also running backs are very cutthroat. You'd have a good year with a guy and then they'd be bad. I don't think they wanted to take that chance. They'd rather get Trevor's boy to play with him instead of relying on a one-year wonder in James Robinson. Now, I know all you people are mainly crying because of fantasy. I would rather invest in Etienne because he's going to be their third down back, and he's going to be a stud. I actually had him above Najee Harris on my big board. That is just my preference, but I think Etienne's going to be really good in the NFL level. Moving next, Trey Lance to the Niners. Well, actually, let's move back to the Jets and analyze their full draft after I talked about Zach Wilson. I love the Elijah Vera Tucker trade up. I'd give the Jets a good A- on this draft. Love the Elijah Vera Tucker trade up. Good value getting more in the second round. Michael Carter late was a good pickup. Clearly, they want to make sure they don't want to make the same mistakes they did with Sam Darnold, where they don't surround him with any weapons or a O-line at all and kind of over rely on him. They're giving Zach Wilson the tools to succeed this time around. That plus a Kyle Shanahan descendant at offensive coordinator, that should be good. Speaking of Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, they did not make the meme pick and take Mac Jones. I'm a little disappointed because I would have laughed my butt off, but this was the smart pick, and this was the pick that I would have made had I been the Niners. Now, let me explain. I like Trey Lance as a long-term project prospect QB. He has insane potential, but he also has a very low floor. He could be the best or worst QB in this draft class. And the main thing with him was he was going to need a year to sit. And for all the people saying he's going to start very soon, no, he's not. The guy has played like 12 games in his career. He's very raw. He played in an FCS school. Kyle Shanahan's system takes a little bit to learn. This guy is not, he's not starting year one. I would doubt, unless Garoppolo gets hurt. He's not starting year one. Garoppolo is going to be the starting QB for at least another season. And Trey Lance will come in probably next year as the starter. As far as the rest of the Niners draft, it was solid. They didn't do a ton that I hated, at least. Let me just pull up their draft class real quick. I did like the Aaron Banks pick. He gives them some interior line depth. I liked the Trey Sermon pick. It gives them more of a thumper at back. They have speed. They have receiving. They needed a power back. Sermon can do that. Emory Thomas and Desmond Liner are just cornerback replacements. Hopefully, one of them can fill the Richard Sherman gap. Jalen Moore, another tackle prospect that some people liked, and then a safety and a running back, which probably won't play much. So that was about it. So the Niners, they didn't really need a ton. So this was a luxury pick that they could make due to their roster, because I think at full strength, they're back to being Super Bowl contenders, but we shall see. Oh, Atlanta. Now, this is an awkward talk for me, because ESPN decided to give its only A+ grade on draft night to the Atlanta Falcons. That right there has me scared, because if ESPN thinks our draft class is going to be good, it's probably going to be terrible, but that's just my joke with ESPN. Look, I know I've had some flip outs about Kyle Pitts going to 4 in the past. I'd like to make it very clear that it's not that I dislike Kyle Pitts as a player. I felt like the Falcons needed to use that pick on something else. What I really wanted to do was trade back, accrue more picks, and then draft a guy like a Patrick Surtain or a J.C. Horn or a Micah Parsons, etc. I wanted defense. However, here's my best guess as to what happened. When Trey Lance went 3, Fields being the only and Jones being the only top quarterbacks left, a lot of the other teams got gun shy, because apparently a lot of the teams didn't like Fields. They only liked Lance, outside of Wilson and Lawrence. Denver was apparently one of those teams. Denver was the ideal trade partner. Moving from 9 to 4 wasn't that huge of a jump. It wouldn't have taken a huge amount of assets, but it would have been a good trade for both sides. It didn't happen. Denver decided to stand pat and take Patrick Surtain for some reason. I'll get to that later. And roll with Teddy Bridgewater. New England just wasn't going to trade up. That's just not Belichick's style. I said that on the show last week. I believe it when I see it. He doesn't trade up in the first round. He did in the second round, and I'll get to the Patriots draft class in a little bit, but that was about my expectation. And then I'm guessing Chicago or Washington would have taken way too much to move up to that spot. So teams opted to stay with their picks, and Atlanta was kind of stuck with crap, right? So we either reach on a defensive player, take the generational talent at tight end, or take Justin Fields. They went with the generational talent at tight end. I can't really knock them for that. It's not a bad pick, but I do like what they did with the rest of the draft. I like Richie Grant. I would have rather had Trevor Moorhig, but if the injury issues actually turn out to be something, maybe I'll be happy with Richie Grant. He's more of a traditional free safety. We still need someone to play strong safety, but we're working on that. Jalen Mayfield was a pick that a lot of people loved. I feel like people forgot about him as a prospect, mainly due to the fact that Michigan only played like 3 games this year because of all the COVID outbreaks. Mayfield can probably play tackle or guard at the NFL level, but he's probably going to move to guard. That should be a good pick. Darian Hall, just adding a quality defensive back to a team that desperately needs secondary help. Oh, sorry. Drew Dahlman, center out of Stanford. I'm surprised he fell that far. And this could be the Alex Mack replacement, hopefully eventually. TQ Graham. Nice nose tackle to put alongside Brady Jarrett in the future. And then Adije Ogundije out of Notre Dame. Hopefully he can pan out to a decent edge rusher. And then Avery Williams out of Boise at corner. Solid. I'm not really counting the Frank Darby pick because I don't even know what that pick was for. Oh, sorry, guys. My allergies are acting up in the mornings. Well, we'll get to some rapid fire here. Jamar, Bengals, what? What? I told you I was going to kill you on this pick if it happened. But why? Why? I understand Joe Burrow was probably demanded it, but come on, man. A generational tackle prospect for a team that desperately needs O-line help is sitting right there. And you go wide out. What does it matter if Burrow's going to get sacked in every 2 seconds and not have time to throw? We got an electric wide receiver. It's just such a dumb pick. And to be very clear, this is not me hating on Jamar Chase. I love Jamar Chase as a prospect, but oh man, this was just such an easy pick, Bengals, and you managed to mess it up. The only way you could have been justified in taking him is if Atlanta or somebody took Sewell at 4. That would have been the only way you could have justified this. Let's go quick. Dolphins. Jalen Waddle. I'm shocked here. I thought they were going to take Sewell, and I had heard they liked Jamar Chase, so I was kind of surprised by this pick. But I guess this was the guy they liked. I like the Jalen Phillips pick. They need edge help. I like the Javion Holland pick. He could be a starter in the future at safety. I don't think he'll have to start right away, but he could. I love the Liam Eichenberg pick as a Notre Dame fan. I feel like he's incredibly undervalued and will provide some nice blocking. He could definitely help your team in the future. The Hunter Long pick is decent. Gets you some backup tight ends. Other than that, that was pretty much Miami's draft class outside of some guys in the 7th who I don't really know much about. But it was a solid draft for Miami. I just would have taken Sewell over Waddle, but they did need a game changer at wide receiver. So, Lions, congratulations. You're the benefactors of everybody else taking their pet projects and Penei Sewell falling to you. Congratulations. Don't mess up this generational talent like you did those before it. You know who I'm talking about. Calvin Johnson. I honestly believe the Lions had one of the best drafts this year. I never thought I would say that about a Lions team, but they had a really good draft. Between Penei Sewell, where they got at 7, Amon-Ra St. Brown in like the 4th round. The 2 nose tackles they took, this corner, Melifonwu actually looks to be a decent prospect. They had a pretty good draft. And again, I never thought I'd say that. Panthers. A lot of people were knocking on this pick. I actually love this pick. I love J.C. Horn, and you have to understand with the Panthers, you're in a division with Michael Thomas, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and now Kyle Pitts. The amount of deep, big-time receiving threats that you are going to have to face in that division, you need to have some solid lockdown corners. And Horn has the potential to be a major man lockdown corner. He has the potential to be a stud. I don't really think it's much of a reach because I would have seen him going about 2 spots from here anyway, so I don't really know why people are freaking out about it so much. I don't think they really wanted Fields. I think they decided they were going to roll with Darnold for at least a year. I mean, I don't think that's the wrong decision. As far as the rest of the draft, I don't know why they took Chuba Hubbard. I guess that's Christian McCaffrey insurance. The rest of the draft was fine. Nothing special from Carolina, but solid picks, good value. And I like the J.C. Horn pick. Oh boy, Patrick Surtain, I am going to knock this pick because Broncos, unless you were trading for Aaron Rodgers, which is a whole nother thing to talk about. You all know the rumors on that. Basically, Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. That's about all I can speak of on this time because there's been no other action on the front, but it's a Cold War right now. Unless you get Aaron Rodgers, Denver, this is going to be viewed as a bad pick. Not even because of Surtain. Again, this is not another. I love Surtain, and Surtain can probably be a very good corner for you. Here's the issue: you desperately needed a quarterback. This is a roster that is about a quarterback away from being a playoff contender, and you draft a luxury pick at corner. Okay, I mean, I guess you're trying to win with defense, and more defense, but oh my god, that was weird. I do like the trade up in the 2nd round to get. Why am I blanking on his name? The running back from UNC, Javonte Williams. Thank you. God. I like that. I love that pick. I like the trade up to get him. I like the Baron Browning pick. And I like the Quinn Murns pick. I mean, outside of it's not a situation of me not liking Zertain. Outside of that pick, though, it's not even that it was a bad value pick. He was expected to go around that range. I feel like you did this to purposely screw over Dallas, but it was pretty funny. So yeah, basically with that happening, Dallas didn't want to pick there anymore, and they traded down with Philly of all teams. Philly got Devontae Smith. They needed the game changer at wide receiver. They got the best one left. Good job. I mean, the rest of the draft was okay. And then the big one, the Giants traded down, which I loved this trade down by the Giants. They traded down, got an extra first, and the Bears moved up and got Justin Fields. The Bears get an exciting QB that they will probably ruin, and the Giants get extra draft capital. Good move by them. Cowboys get Micah Parsons, who's the best defensive player left on the board. They went all defense in this draft. Hopefully they can fix their D. Rashawn Slater, yep, that was the protect Justin Herbert pick. We already covered Elijah Vera Tucker. Let's briefly cover the Patriots and the Giants here, because the rest of these drafts, at least in the first round, were not that crazy, except for, I will say one thing. I think the Browns are the best draft of all teams. Greg Newsome was a great prospect. Getting JOK, Jeremiah Wosu, Koromoa to fall that far was great. They got insane value for their picks. The Browns have completely turned their organization around, and it's just so nice to see. And Steelers, I'm going to knock you a little bit on the pick of Najee Harris. Who's going to block for him, I might ask? I mean, I like Najee Harris, but he's going to get wrecked behind that offensive line. Titans take the risky pick with Caleb Farley. Good for them. Christian Darrisaw falls to the Vikings. That was incredible to me. And this is what I'm about to knock the Giants for. Giants. You were one of the worst pass and run blocking teams in the NFL last year, and one of the best offensive tackles in the draft falls to you after you trade down at 20 and you take Kadarius Toney. Oh, good God. He wasn't even the best receiver on the board. I mean, I guess he was the best deep threat on the board. Like, you didn't need another guy like Bateman, but this was just a weird pick. This was a luxury pick. I mean, I understand you're trying to make sure there's no more excuses for Daniel Jones, but you have Kenny Galladay, you have Sterling Shepard, you have Darius Slayton. I was talking about this last week when I was doing my final mock draft. I said, look at me, Giants fans. I know you want a wide receiver, but don't do it. Well, they did it, and I honestly don't get it. You could have had one of the best O-linemen there in the draft. Instead, you take a guy who's probably going to be your fifth-string receiver, play some special teams, and maybe catch a few deep bombs or a jet sweep to make the fan base excited. That's going to be the role of Kadarius Toney year one, unless something major happens. And the last team I want to briefly cover is the Patriots. Yes, they got their heir to Brady in Mac Jones. If there's ever a quarterback that looked like Tom Brady, Mac Jones is that guy. As far as the rest of their picks, they traded up and got Christian Barrymore, who I was shocked fell at 4. That was a great pick by them. That defense got even scarier. And they get Ronnie Perkins out of Oklahoma as a common centauri pick. Another solid pick. Then they addressed the running back position again with Ramondre Stevenson, who I really wanted Atlanta to take. And that was the one thing I'm going to go back to Atlanta for 1 second. I'm going to knock you. I understand Jalen Hawkins looks like a good undrafted free agent running back. But when you went out of this draft with Mike Davis as the starting running back, like, I like Mike Davis, but come on, Atlanta. We need a running back. And that's about all the time I have to talk about the draft. I mean, if there's any more specific things you guys want me to talk about, I can cover it in a future video. But it was an exciting draft. I was glad I have it. And that was my initial takeaways. We're going to move on probably to a baseball segment in a little bit. And I will see you all in that one.